My parents just suspended me from school like I am a Netflix subscription. They forgot they still pay for. It is Friday night, and the sentence has been passed. No classes until I apologize to Logan. The family golden boy. They think this is a punishment, a way to force my submission. But looking at the two suitcases hidden under my bed, I know it is not an end. It is just the start of my resignation letter. I am Sydney Ross, and my parents just suspended me from school like I am a Netflix subscription they forgot they still pay for. The analogy is almost too perfect. I am the basic plan, the one with ads, the one you keep around for the occasional documentary but largely ignore in favor of the premium package. And sitting across from me at the mahogany dining table, draped in his varsity jacket like it is a royal cape, is the premium package himself, Logan Ross, the golden boy, the quarterback who can do no wrong, even when he is actively setting the world on fire. The air in the dining room is so stale it feels recycled. My mother, Linda, has arranged the roast chicken and glazed carrots with the precision of a stage manager, but nobody is eating. The silverware gleams under the chandelier. Cold and accusing. We are not a family having dinner. We are a board of directors holding a disciplinary hearing, and I am the only employee on the chopping block. My father, Victor, clears his throat. It is a sound that usually precedes a firing or a budget cut at his logistics firm. He wipes his mouth with a linen napkin, folds it into a perfect square, and places it next to his untouched plate. He does not look at me. He looks at a point on the wall just above my left shoulder, as if he is reading from a teleprompter. "Sydney," he begins, his voice devoid of any paternal warmth. It is the voice he uses for underperforming regional managers. "We have discussed the situation extensively. Your mother and I have looked at the damage done to this family's reputation over the last 48 hours. The rumors, the whispers at the club, the calls from the Booster Association." He pauses, waiting for me to flinch. I do not. I just stare at the centerpiece, a vase of white lilies that are starting to brown at the edges. "We have come to a decision," Victor continues, lacing his fingers together on the table. "Effective Monday morning, you are prohibited from attending Oak Ridge Charter Institute. You are grounded from all academic and extracurricular premises. We are pulling you out." My mother nods, her eyes wide and glassy, pleading with me to understand the logic that only exists in her head. "It is for the best. Sydney, we need a cooling-off period. The temperature is just too high right now." "You are suspended," my father clarifies, leaning forward, "until you are ready to stand on that auditorium stage in front of the student body and the faculty and apologize to your brother." I shift my gaze to Logan. He is leaning back in his chair, arms crossed over his chest. He is trying to look solemn, trying to mimic the gravity of our parents, but the corner of his mouth twitches. It is a suppressed smirk, a victory lap. He knows exactly what he did. He knows about the cheat sheets. He knows about the freshmen he slammed into the lockers. But here we are, rewriting history so that I am the villain who fabricated a smear campaign to ruin his chances at a Division I scholarship. "You publicly humiliated him," my father says, his voice rising just a decibel, controlled anger leaking through. "You jeopardized his future. You questioned his integrity. In this house, we support each other. We do not tear each other down out of jealousy." "Family comes first. Sydney," my mother chimes in, reciting the Ross family motto like a prayer. "Family comes first, always." It is ironic, really. Family comes first. Unless that family member is the daughter pointing out that the son is a criminal, then, apparently, the daughter comes last. I remember the hallway at school yesterday, the way the varsity players formed a wall around Logan, staring me down, the way the cheerleaders whispered behind their hands, the way even the teachers looked at me with pity or annoyance, as if my refusal to let Logan cheat was an inconvenience to their football season. I was a pariah for telling the truth, and now, my parents are formalizing that exile. They want me to break. That is the strategy. They are cutting off my lifeline. They know school is the only place where I exist outside of Logan's shadow. They know I am valedictorian of the senior class. They know I have perfect attendance. They think that by taking away the one thing I love, the one thing I am better at than him, I will crumble. They expect me to scream. They expect me to cry, to beg, to promise that I will say whatever script they write for me just to get back into AP Calculus. Victor is taking a breath, preparing to launch into the second half of his prepared speech. He probably has bullet points about loyalty and consequences. He probably has a timeline for my rehabilitation. I look at him. Then I look at my mother, wringing her hands. Finally, I look at Logan, who is watching me with the predatory gaze of a cat that has just cornered a mouse. I pick up my water glass, take a small sip, and set it down without making a sound. "All right," I say. The silence that follows is absolute. It is heavy and suffocating. My father's mouth hangs open slightly. He blinks, the rest of his lecture dying in his throat. He was ready for a fight. He was ready for teenage rebellion, for tears, for a dramatic exit. He was not ready for immediate, dry compliance. "Excuse me," my mother asks, her voice trembling. I said, "All right," I repeat, my voice flat, stripped of any emotion. I do not sound defeated. I sound bored. If those are the terms, then I accept them. I will not go to Oak Ridge on Monday. I will stay home. Logan shifts in his seat, the smirk faltering. He uncrosses his arms. This is not the reaction he wanted. He wanted to see me suffer. He wanted the satisfaction of watching me beg him for forgiveness. My apathy is confusing him. "Do you understand what this means?" My father stammers, losing his CEO composure for a second. "No classes, no debate club, no library access. You are confined to this house until you make this right." "I understand perfectly," I say. "You are prioritizing Logan's reputation over my education. You are using my attendance as leverage to extract a lie. It is a bold management strategy." "Victor, don't you call me that," he snaps. "I am your father." "You are the one setting terms like a contract negotiation," I reply. Standing up, I push my chair back. It scrapes against the hardwood floor, a harsh, grating sound that makes my mother flinch. "I am just agreeing to the contract." I look at my plate of cold chicken. "May I be excused? I have a lot of packing to do if I'm going to be under house arrest." "Sydney, sit down," my mother says, half rising. "We are not finished." "I am," I say. I turn my back on them. I can feel their eyes boring into my spine. I can feel the confusion radiating off them like heat waves. They won. They got exactly what they asked for. So why does it feel like they are the ones who just lost something? I walk out of the dining room, through the foyer, and up the winding staircase. I keep my steps steady and slow. No stomping, no slamming doors. I am a ghost haunting my own life. When I reach my bedroom, I step inside and close the door with a soft, definitive click. I turn the lock. The mask drops. I let out a breath I feel like I've been holding since I walked into the kitchen an hour ago. My heart is hammering against my ribs, not from fear, but from adrenaline, the kind of cold, sharp adrenaline you get right before you make a move in chess that your opponent will not see until it is 10 moves too late. I walk over to my bed and kneel. I reach underneath and pull out the first suitcase. It is a large, hard-shell silver case. I flip the latches and open it. It is already packed. My clothes are folded in military-style rolls to maximize space. Jeans, sweaters, the few outfits I own that do not make me look like a suburban carbon copy of my mother. I have been packing this bag for 3 days, ever since Logan cornered that freshman in the parking lot, and I intervened. I knew this was coming. I knew the moment I stood between the golden boy and his victim. My time in this house was expiring. I pull out the second suitcase. This one is smaller, a carry-on size, but it is infinitely more valuable. This is the Sydney suitcase. I open it and check the contents for the 10th time tonight. Inside, wrapped in bubble wrap, are my 2 state debate trophies. They are heavy, gold-plated validation that I have a voice, even if it is silenced at the dinner table. Next to them is a thick manila envelope containing my official transcripts sealed and stamped before the administration could freeze my access. I have hard copies of every report card, every commendation, every standardized test score from the last 4 years. But the most important document is in the front pocket. It is a printout of an email chain with the admissions office of Northbridge Leadership Academy. Northbridge. The name alone sounds like a fortress. It is a boarding school 300 miles away, in a state where the Ross family name means absolutely nothing. It is a place where football is just a game, not a religion, and where integrity is a graduation requirement, not a buzzword my father throws around while covering up assault. I sit on the floor, surrounded by my exit strategy. I pick up the printout. I read the highlighted section again, just to ground myself. State Statute 44. Section B. A minor may petition for educational emancipation and immediate transfer of guardianship for educational purposes if the custodial parents act in a manner that willfully obstructs the minor's access to mandated education. My father thinks he just grounded me. He thinks he just suspended me. In reality, he just handed me the legal ammunition I have been missing. By forbidding me from attending school, by making my education conditional on a coerced lie, he has crossed the line from strict parenting into educational neglect. He gave me the key. He just does not know I have already changed the locks. I pull out my phone. It is a burner I bought with cash 2 months ago, hidden inside an old hollowed-out biology textbook on my shelf. My parents track my main phone. They monitor my texts, my location, my app usage. They think they have eyes on everything. I power it up. I have one draft message saved, addressed to Mrs. Alvarez, the only guidance counselor at Oak Ridge who sees through the Ross family distortion field. They did it. The suspension is official. Initiating Phase 2. I hover my thumb over the send button. My hand is shaking slightly. This is it. Once I send this, there is no going back. I will be blowing up my life. I will be the daughter who ran away. I will be the scandal that finally sticks. I press send. I watch the little circle spin. Then the checkmark appears. Delivered. I stand up and zip the suitcases shut. I slide them by the door, ready to move at a moment's notice. Then I go to my desk. I open my laptop, the one they graciously allow me to keep for homework, assuming I am too terrified to use it for anything else. I open my personal email, the one under a pseudonym. There is a new message at the top of the inbox. It arrived 14 minutes ago. While my father was droning on about reputation. Subject: full residential scholarship offer. Immediate placement. I open it. The words swim before my eyes. Beautiful and liberating. We are pleased to inform you full tuition, room and board, covered travel stipend included effectively immediately upon acceptance. I click accept. Then I leave the laptop open on the desk. I dim the screen just enough so it glows in the dark room. A beacon waiting to be found. I change into my pajamas, brush my teeth, and climb into bed. I lie on my back, staring at the ceiling fan cutting through the shadows. Downstairs, I can hear the murmur of the television. My parents are probably watching the news, or maybe a replay of one of Logan's old games, soothing themselves with the image of their perfect son. They are comfortable. They think they have won. They think I am up here crying into my pillow, breaking down, getting ready to surrender. They have no idea that the girl in the upstairs bedroom has already left the building. I close my eyes, but I do not sleep. I count the hours. 6 o'clock comes with the pale gray light of a cloudy Saturday morning. I am already dressed. I am wearing jeans, a hoodie, and sneakers. I am sitting in the armchair by the window, waiting. At 7:30, I hear the heavy footsteps. They are too loud to be my mother, too clumsy to be my father. The doorknob turns. It is locked, of course. Sydney, Logan's voice comes through the wood. Mom says you need to come down for breakfast. We are going over the apology script. I do not answer. Sydney, he pounds on the door. Don't be a brat. Open the door. I stay silent. He jiggles the handle violently. I swear to God. Sid, if you don't open this. He must have used a coin or a screwdriver on the emergency release, because a second later, the lock clicks and the door swings open. Logan barges in, his face flushed with annoyance. Are you deaf? I said. He stops. He freezes in the center of the room. He is looking at the closet. The doors are wide open. The racks are bare. The shelves where my sweaters used to be are empty. He spins around, looking at the bookshelf. My debate trophies are gone. The photos are gone. His eyes drop to the floor by the door, where the 2 suitcases stand like sentinels. What is this? He asks, his voice losing its edge, replaced by genuine confusion. Where do you think you are going? I stand up slowly from the chair. I walk over to the desk and tap the space bar on my laptop. The screen wakes up instantly, the brightness cutting through the morning gloom. The email from Northbridge Leadership Academy is front and center. The words full scholarship and immediate transfer are impossible to miss. Logan steps closer. He reads the screen. I see his eyes dart back and forth. I see the realization hit him. He is not the smartest guy in the honors program, but he knows what a transfer letter looks like. He knows what it means when the smart sister, the one who does his homework, the one who fixes his messes, decides to quit. He looks at me, and for the first time in his life, he looks small. You can't leave. Dad said you are suspended. You are grounded. Dad suspended me from Oak Ridge, I correct him. I pick up my backpack, slinging it over one shoulder. I walk past him, stopping in the doorway. I lean against the frame, feeling the cool wood against my shoulder. I look at my brother, this boy, who has been protected from every consequence, every failure, every reality check his entire life. He is standing in an empty room, staring at a laptop screen that spells out the end of his safety net. You wanted me out of school, Logan, I say, my voice calm, steady, and terrifyingly final. You just forgot to ask which one. To understand the sheer, catastrophic silence filling my bedroom right now, to understand why Logan looks less like a high school quarterback and more like a toddler who just watched his ice cream cone hit the pavement, you have to rewind the clock. You have to go back 100 hours. You have to understand that while my family was playing checkers with my life, I had already set up a chessboard they did not even know existed. This did not start at the dinner table last night. It started on Tuesday, in the only room at Oak Ridge Charter Institute where the air does not smell like floor wax and teenage anxiety. I was sitting in Mrs. Alvarez's office. She is the senior guidance counselor, a woman with sharp eyes and an even sharper intuition, who wears oversized cardigans and keeps a jar of peppermint candies on her desk that she only offers to students she actually likes. She had called me out of AP European history with a vague slip about schedule verification, but the moment she closed the door and clicked the deadbolt, I knew this was not about my electives. She sat down, bypassed the pleasantries, and slid a brochure across the desk. It was heavy, glossy stock, colored in deep navy and silver. Northbridge Leadership Academy, she said, watching my face. Have you heard of it? I picked it up. The cover showed a campus that looked more like a small liberal arts college than a high school. Brick buildings covered in ivy, students sitting in a circle on a manicured lawn, a state-of-the-art debate podium. It is a private boarding school 3 states over, I said, reading the fine print. Tuition is $55,000 a year. My parents would never pay that for me. If it does not involve a helmet and a ball, the budget is zero. Mrs. Alvarez leaned forward, resting her elbows on her desk. They have a new initiative. It is called the Residential Civic Fellows Program. It is fully funded by a private endowment aimed at students with exceptional potential in policy, debate, and civic leadership who are currently in, let's call them, limiting environments. I looked up at her. Limiting environments. That was the polite, counselor-speak way of saying homes where the daughter is treated like furniture. She continued, her voice low. I have been watching you for 3 years. Sydney, I have seen you pull a 4.0 grade point average every semester while running the debate team almost single-handedly. And I have seen you sit in the bleachers doing homework while your parents scream for Logan. I know what happened in the parking lot yesterday with the freshman boy. I know you intervened. I stiffened. I just stopped a fight. You stopped an assault, she corrected firmly. And I suspect the fallout from that is going to be ugly. Logan is protected here. You are not. She tapped the brochure. Northbridge is looking for fighters. Sydney, but you have to apply now. The committee meets this Friday. It is an emergency placement round for the spring semester. I opened the brochure. The images were seductive not in a romantic way, but in an intellectual one. A library with floor-to-ceiling shelves, a dormitory room that looked like a studio apartment, a promise of autonomy. Even if I get in, I said, feeling the familiar weight of reality settling on my chest. My parents will never sign the transfer papers. They need me here to do Logan's chemistry homework and keep up the appearance of the happy nuclear family. Mrs. Alvarez smiled, a small, conspiratorial expression that changed everything. She opened a drawer and pulled out a photocopy of a legal statute. That is the interesting part, she said. Northbridge operates under a unique charter in its home state. If a student is awarded a full residential scholarship, meaning the family pays $0, and that student can prove their current guardians are obstructing their access to a safe or adequate education, the student can self-consent to the transfer. It is called educational emancipation. I took the paper. The words seemed to vibrate on the page. Educational emancipation. If they suspend you, Mrs. Alvarez said, her voice barely a whisper, or if they create an environment where you cannot attend school without compromising your moral or physical well-being, they are handing you the key to the exit. I walked out of her office 10 minutes later with the application paperwork tucked inside my chemistry textbook. My heart was hammering a frantic rhythm against my ribs. For the first time in my life, I did not feel like a victim waiting for the next blow. I felt like a player. That night, Tuesday, I began the heist. My house is always loud. The television is always tuned to ESPN or local sports replays. My father is always on the phone with Booster Club members, discussing turf quality or jersey sponsorship. My mother is always in the kitchen or the laundry room, managing the logistics of Logan's athletic career. This noise was my cover. I waited until 2 a.m, when the house finally settled into the groaning silence of sleep. I crept downstairs to the home office. I did not turn on the lights. I navigated by the memory of 16 years of walking these floors. I needed documents. I found the file cabinet unlocked. Of course it was unlocked. Who would steal from the Ross family? We were the pillars of the community. I flipped through the hanging folders, my fingers moving fast. Tax returns, mortgage, Logan Medical, Logan Scouts, Logan College offers. Finally, way at the back, a thin folder labeled Sydney. I pulled it out. Inside was my birth certificate and my social security card. I took them to the scanner on my father's desk. The machine whirred to life, a mechanical hum that sounded like a gunshot in the quiet room. I held my breath, watching the green light bar sweep across the glass. 1 scan, 2 scans. I saved them to a cloud drive my parents did not know existed. A folder I had password protected with a code Logan would never guess, because it was the date of the one debate tournament he actually attended and fell asleep at. I returned the originals. Nothing could look disturbed. Wednesday was a blur of covert operations. I spent my lunch period in the computer lab, scanning my debate certificates and my awards. I needed 4 letters of recommendation. I did not go to the football coaches or the administration. I went to the teachers who had actually taught me, Mr. Henderson, AP English, Mrs. Klein, Civics, Dr. Aris, Physics, and of course, Mrs. Alvarez. I approached them quietly, between classes. I told them I was applying for a summer program. Something vague. I did not want to spook them with the permanency of it yet, but they knew. They saw the circles under my eyes and the tension in my jaw. They wrote the letters instantly. By Wednesday afternoon, 4 notifications popped up in my secure email, recommendation submitted. Then came the essay. The prompt for the Northbridge application was simple. Describe a systemic injustice you have witnessed and how it has shaped your definition of leadership. I sat at my desk on Thursday night. Downstairs, my mother was blending protein shakes for Logan. I could hear the blender whirring, a domestic drone that usually drove me crazy. This time, I tuned it out. I did not write about world hunger or climate change. I wrote about the golden boy. I wrote about growing up in a house where morality was a sliding scale based on athletic potential. I wrote about watching a boy break rules, break laws, and break people, only to be rewarded with trophies and applause because he could throw a spiral 40 yards. I wrote about the suffocation of being the good child, who is ignored because goodness does not sell tickets on Friday nights. I typed furiously, my fingers flying across the keys. I wrote, I have learned that true leadership is not about the person standing in the spotlight. It is about the person willing to unplug the spotlight when it is shining on a lie. I have been trained to be silent to protect a reputation that isn't mine. I am applying to Northbridge because I am done being the collateral damage of someone else's glory. I read it over. It was raw. It was dangerous. It was the truth. I hit submit at 11:50 on Thursday night. Almost immediately, my burner phone buzzed. It was a text from Mrs. Alvarez. Application received. The committee reviews everything tomorrow morning. You will have a decision within 72 hours. Do not say a word to your parents yet. I stared at the phone. Friday. The committee met Friday. The irony was so sharp it almost cut me. Friday was the same day my parents had scheduled their family meeting to address the Logan situation. I knew what was coming. I knew they were going to punish me for the parking lot incident. I knew they were going to demand an apology. And that is when the plan truly crystallized in my mind. If the acceptance letter came through, I would have the scholarship. But to trigger the Educational Emancipation Clause to legally walk out that door without the police dragging me back, I needed them to mess up. I needed them to go too far. I needed them to suspend me. If they just grounded me, took my phone, or yelled at me, I was still under their legal control. But if they formally, explicitly forbade me from attending school, if they made my education conditional on a lie, then they were breaking the state statute Mrs. Alvarez had shown me. I spent all day Friday in a state of hyper-awareness. Every time my father looked at me with that cold, simmering rage, I felt a strange thrill. Go ahead, I thought. Get angrier. Make the punishment worse. Don't just ground me. Expel me from this family. I needed them to construct the cage so tight that the law would hand me a crowbar to break it open. When dinner time came on Friday night, I was not walking to my execution. I was walking into a trap I had baited myself. When my father cleared his throat and announced that I was suspended from school until I apologized, he thought he was ending my world. He had no idea he was signing my release forms. I looked at the clock on the wall during his speech. The review committee at Northbridge had likely finished their meeting 6 hours ago. The decision was already made, floating somewhere in the digital ether, waiting for me to open it. So when I looked at my parents and said, "All right," it wasn't surrender. It was the patience of a sniper waiting for the wind to settle. Now, standing here on Saturday morning, watching Logan struggle to comprehend the empty closet and the open laptop, I feel the weight of those 4 days of secrecy lift off my shoulders. The preparation is over. The documents are scanned. The law is on my side. The scholarship is real. I am not just a runaway teen. I am a fully funded, legally emancipated student of the Northbridge Leadership Academy. And there is absolutely nothing not my father's money, not my mother's guilt trips, and certainly not Logan's confusion that can stop what happens next. I check my watch. It is 8:15 in the morning. "You should probably move, Logan," I say, stepping past him into the hallway. "I have a phone call to make. And I don't think you want to be around when Dad realizes that by locking me out of Oak Ridge, he just unlocked the rest of my life." To understand why I am currently standing in my bedroom with packed bags and a burned bridge behind me, you have to see the explosion. You have to see the moment the golden boy stopped glistening and started to rot. It happened 72 hours before the suspension dinner, on a Tuesday afternoon that smelled like exhaust fumes and floor wax. I was heading to my car in the subterranean parking garage beneath the Oak Ridge Gymnasium. It is a concrete bunker where the cell reception goes to die and where the security cameras are conveniently angled away from the blind spots behind the structural pillars. That is where the football team holds court. That is where they conduct business. I heard the sound first. It was the wet, dull thud of a body hitting a concrete wall, followed by the clatter of a dropped backpack. I rounded the corner of a gray pillar, keys in hand, and stopped. My brother, Logan, had a boy pinned against the wall. The kid was a freshman named Noah, a math whiz who weighed maybe 120 pounds soaking wet. Logan, who is 6'2" and built like a linebacker because he literally is one, had his forearm pressed against Noah's windpipe. "You think you are funny," Logan was shouting, his voice echoing off the low ceiling. "You think you can just go to the administration." Noah was crying. There was a trickle of blood running from his nose, bright red against his pale skin. But his hand was clamped tight around his phone, holding it to his chest like a shield. "It is not fair. Logan," Noah wheezed. "You charged me $50 and the answers were wrong. I failed. My dad is going to kill me." I froze. The pieces clicked together faster than I wanted them to. For weeks, there had been rumors about a study guide circulating among the athletes. I assumed it was just old tests being passed down, but Logan selling answers. And bad answers at that. Logan slammed his other hand against the wall next to Noah's head. "You do not get a refund, you little snitch, and if you show that phone to anyone, I will tell everyone you stole the test yourself. Who are they going to believe, the varsity captain or the freshman? Nobody." That was the trigger. It was the arrogance, the absolute, unshakable belief that he was untouchable. I did not think. I dropped my backpack. It hit the floor with a heavy thud, and Logan whipped his head around. "Sydney." He looked surprised, then annoyed. "Go to the car. This does not concern you." "Let him go," I said. My voice was low, shaking slightly, not from fear, but from a rage that felt cold and sharp. "I said get in the car," Logan snapped. Turning back to Noah, I stepped forward, grabbed the back of Logan's varsity jacket, and yanked. I am not strong. But he was off balance, and the surprise of his own sister physically engaging him made him stumble back. Noah slid down the wall, gasping for air, clutching his phone. "Get out of here. Noah," I ordered. "Go upstairs to the front office. Now." "Do not move," Logan roared. Stepping toward him, I stepped in between them. I looked up at my brother. His face was twisted in a way I rarely saw ugly, red, vein popping in his forehead. This was the face he hid from the cameras and the scouts. "Touch him again, Logan, and I call the police right now," I said, holding up my phone. "Not the school cop, the actual police. Assault on a minor. Try explaining that to the recruiters at State." Logan stopped. He breathed heavily, his fists clenching and unclenching. He looked at Noah, then at me. "You are a traitor," he spat. "You are supposed to be on my side." Noah scrambled up, grabbed his bag, and sprinted toward the stairs. We stood there in the silence he left behind. "You have no idea what you just did," Logan said, his voice dropping to a menacing whisper. "You think you are so righteous. You just cost me everything." "You were selling fake answer keys," I said, the realization fully forming. "You are scamming freshmen." "I am fundraising," he yelled, throwing his hands up. "For the team party, everyone does it, but you had to ruin it. You always have to be the moral police." He brushed past me, slamming his shoulder into mine hard enough to make me stumble. "Do not expect a ride home, and do not think Mom and Dad are going to take your side on this." He was right about the ride home. But he was wrong about the outcome. The next morning, Wednesday, the summons came during second period. Mr. Carlisle, the principal, wanted to see both of us. The principal's office at Oak Ridge is designed to intimidate. It is full of dark wood, leather chairs, and glass cases displaying trophies, half of which Logan helped win. When I walked in, Logan was already sitting there. He had transformed. The rage was gone. He was slumped in his chair, looking small, contrite, and devastatingly sympathetic. He was wearing a tie. He never wears ties on Wednesdays. Mr. Carlisle sat behind his desk, looking weary. "Sydney, have a seat," Logan has been explaining the misunderstanding in the parking lot. I sat down. Misunderstanding. Logan tells me that he and Noah were having a heated disagreement about a borrowed textbook, Carlisle said, glancing at a notepad, and that you, perhaps misinterpreting the situation due to stress, escalated it into a physical confrontation. I looked at Logan. He stared at the floor, shaking his head sadly. I told her to stop screaming. Mr. Carlisle, she has been really high-strung lately, obsessed with my grades. I think she's just jealous that I got the offers, and she is still waiting. It was a masterclass in gaslighting. He had spun the narrative so completely that I was the aggressor. Sydney, Carlisle said, his voice gentle, patronizing. We take bullying seriously, but we also take false accusations seriously. Noah is very confused. He retracted his statement this morning. Of course he did. Logan's friends probably cornered him before homeroom. Noah is terrified, I said clearly. And this is not about a textbook. It is about academic fraud. Logan sighed loudly. See? She is doing it again. She is making stuff up. I am not making anything up, I said. I reached into my pocket and pulled out my phone. Sydney, put that away, Carlisle said. No, I said. You want the truth? Here's the truth. I did not have a video of the fight. I had something better. Late last night, after Logan went to sleep, I had done something I promised myself I would never do. I logged into his iPad. He uses the same passcode for everything, his jersey number. 12, repeated 3 times, 121212. I opened the group chat app the football team uses. It is called The Huddle. I scrolled back 3 weeks, and I hit record on my screen. I held my phone up to Mr. Carlisle. The video played. It showed a thread from a user named QB1log. Message biology. Final key is in. 100% guaranteed. $50 a pop. Venmo me. Message. Don't worry about Carlisle. He loves us. Golden boys don't get detention. Video attachment within the chat. A clip of Logan in the locker room, fanning himself with a stack of $20 bills, laughing. College fund. Baby. Easiest money ever. The silence in the office was absolute. Mr. Carlisle watched the video. He watched it again. His face went pale. This was not hearsay. This was documented. Time-stamped proof of massive academic dishonesty involving the school's star athlete. Logan sat up straight. The sad boy act vanishing instantly. Where did you get that? That is private. That is illegal. It is evidence, I said, placing the phone on the desk. He is selling answers, Mr. Carlisle, and when the answers turned out to be wrong, and a freshman threatened to talk, Logan slammed his head into a concrete wall. Mr. Carlisle took off his glasses. He rubbed the bridge of his nose. He looked at Logan, and for the first time, I saw disappointment override the adoration. Logan, Carlisle said, his voice heavy. Is this real? She hacked me? Logan shouted, standing up. She is trying to sabotage me. Sit down, Mr. Ross? Carlisle barked. It was the sharpest tone I had ever heard him use with a student. Logan sat. This is beyond a detention, Carlisle said, looking at the ceiling as if praying for a way out. This is district level, distributing testing materials, extortion, violence. I have no choice. I have to report this to the athletic board and the superintendent. He looked at me. Sydney, you did the right thing. But, he hesitated. Your parents are not going to take this well. You understand that, right? I know, I said. Logan, you are suspended pending a formal hearing, Carlisle said. You are off the team effectively immediately. Leave the campus. The walk out of the office was the longest walk of my life. Logan did not look at me. He stormed out, kicking a trash can over as he exited the administrative wing. By lunch, the news had hit the ecosystem. High schools are efficient information networks. The word suspended attached to Logan Ross traveled faster than a viral meme. I walked into the cafeteria, and the noise level dropped by half. Heads turned. I could see the whispers forming on lips. She did it. His own sister. She ratted him out. My phone started buzzing. Notifications from unknown numbers. Traitor, jealous B-word, you just killed the season. The football table, usually a rowdy center of gravity, was somber and angry. They glared at me. I was not Sydney Ross, the debate captain. I was the enemy combatant. I was the leak. I ate my sandwich alone in the library, listening to the librarian shush people who came in just to stare at me. I did not cry. I did not hide in the bathroom. I sat there and finished my AP Calculus homework, because I knew that my time at this school was ending, one way or another. When the final bell rang, I walked to the student parking lot. My car was there, but Logan's truck was gone. He had fled the scene. I knew where he was going. He was going home to set the stage. He had a 20-minute head start to poison the well. He would be crying to Mom. He would be yelling to Dad. He would be painting a picture of a vindictive, crazy sister who hacked his phone and fabricated evidence because she could not stand seeing him succeed. I drove home slowly. I kept the radio off. I needed to focus. I pulled into the driveway at 5:30. My father's car was there. My mother's car was there. The house lights were all on, blazing like a lighthouse warning ships away from the rocks. I walked to the front door. My hand hovered over the knob. This was it. This was the moment the family officially broke. I took a deep breath, inhaling the cool evening air, and opened the door. The house was eerily quiet. No TV, no cooking sounds. I walked into the kitchen. They were waiting for me. My father sat at the head of the table, his face a mask of purple rage. My mother was next to him, her eyes red and puffy, clutching a tissue, and Logan sat on the other side, looking devastated, his head in his hands, playing the part of the martyr perfectly. They did not look at me like a daughter. They looked at me like a defendant who had already been found guilty. "Sit down, Sydney," my father said. It was not a request. I pulled out my chair and sat. "Logan told us everything," my mother sobbed. How could you? How could you be so cruel to your own brother?" "I did not do." I started. Silence. My father slammed his hand on the table. The silverware jumped. "We saw the video, or rather, we saw the edited clip you tried to frame him with. Logan explained how you manipulated the context, how you have been plotting this." I looked at Logan. He peeked through his fingers, and for a split second, I saw it, a tiny flicker of a smile. He had done it. He had convinced them that the video was a fake, that the cheating was a misunderstanding, that the assault was self-defense. He had rewritten reality. And they were so desperate to believe him, so terrified of facing the truth that their investment was a failure, that they bought it wholesale. "We are going to fix this," my father said, his voice dropping to a terrifying calm. "We are going to call the school board. We are going to threaten to sue. But first, we are going to deal with you." That was the preamble. That was the setup for the suspension speech. I looked at them, three people united by a lie, and I felt something inside me snap. Not a break, but a release. I realized then that I could never win an argument in this house. The truth did not matter here. Only the narrative mattered. That was the night I realized my family would rather rewrite reality than admit their golden boy was rusting. And that was the moment I decided to let them have their lie, so I could take my life back. The transition from daughter to inmate happened exactly 45 minutes after I left the dinner table. I was sitting on my bed, staring at the wall, when heavy footsteps thundered up the stairs. It was not Logan's athletic jog. It was my father's authoritative stomp. He did not knock. He did not ask permission. He simply turned the handle and pushed the door open. In his right hand, he held a cordless power drill. In his left, a small plastic bin. "Since you have decided to isolate yourself from this family's values," Victor said, the motor of the drill whirring with a high-pitched whine that set my teeth on edge, "we are going to ensure you do not isolate yourself physically. No closed doors in this house until trust is reestablished." He moved with the efficiency of a contractor. Zip, zip. The screws fell onto the carpet. He lifted the heavy oak door off its hinges and leaned it against the hallway wall. My bedroom, my sanctuary. was now a stage open to the entire second floor. "Phone," he demanded, holding out his hand. I reached into my pocket and handed him my official phone, the iPhone 15 they tracked, not the burner hidden in the hollowed-out biology textbook. "Car keys," he said. I dropped the fob into his palm. 9 o'clock curfew for lights out, he stated, turning to leave. "You are allowed to use your laptop for schoolwork only. If I catch you on social media, or if I see you messaging anyone, that goes too. You are here to reflect. Sydney, not to socialize." He walked away, carrying my door like a trophy. I sat there, exposed to the hallway, listening to his footsteps recede. Most teenagers would have dissolved into tears. Most would have screamed about privacy. I just watched him go, feeling a cold, calculating satisfaction settle in my gut. He thought he was stripping me of power. He thought that by taking the door, the car, and the phone, he had severed my connection to the outside world. He forgot the one rule of modern warfare: as long as you have Wi-Fi, you have a weapon. By leaving me the laptop, he had just handed me the shovel to dig his own grave. I waited until 10 o'clock. The house went quiet. My parents went to their master suite at the end of the hall. Logan went to his room, probably to play video games and ignore the implosion of his academic career. I sat at my desk, angling the screen away from the open doorway. To anyone walking by, it looked like I was dutifully reading a PDF about the French Revolution. In reality, I was opening a secure, encrypted browser window. Phase 1 of the Counterattack Legal Counsel. Mrs. Alvarez had set this up. She knew that a 17-year-old girl fighting a wealthy family needed more than just a guidance counselor. She needed a shark. She had given me a secure login for a Proton Mail account. I logged in. There was one email waiting for me. From D. Callahan. "Esca. Subject regarding your inquiry." "Sydney," Mrs. Alvarez briefed me. "If your parents are obstructing your attendance at an accredited institution to force a false confession, we are looking at a clear case of educational neglect under state law. However, allegations are smoke. I need fire. I need documentation. Do not tell them you are leaving. Let them dig the hole. Send me everything." I cracked my knuckles. It was time to go to work. I started with the low-hanging fruit. I opened the Family Cloud account. My parents are not digital natives. They use the same password for everything the year they bought the house, followed by Logan's jersey number, 201012, access granted. I went straight to the text message logs. My mother, Linda, has a habit of texting her thoughts rather than speaking them, creating a permanent digital footprint of her manipulation. I found the thread she sent to my father earlier that afternoon. Linda: "She is refusing to apologize. We have to play hardball. Vic, pull her out of Oak Ridge. Tell her she does not go back until she fixes this for Logan." Victor agreed. "No school until she complies. We will frame it as a mental health break if the district asks. Click, screenshot, save. That was the smoking gun for educational obstruction. They were conspiring to remove me from school not for my benefit, but as a bargaining chip. But I needed more. I needed to prove why they were doing it. I needed to prove that the golden boy image was not just a matter of pride, but a matter of profit. I navigated to the folder labeled Ross Logistics, External. My father often mixed his business files with personal ones, because he was arrogant enough to believe no one would ever audit him. I searched for keywords: Oak Ridge, booster, donation. The search bar spun for a second, then populated a list. I opened a spreadsheet titled Varsity Booster Allocation, Fall. The numbers were staggering. My father's company had donated $40,000 to the Oak Ridge Athletic Department in the last 6 months alone, but it was the line items that were interesting. August 15th. $10,000. Equipment upgrade. Check number 402. Note: Coach Miller guaranteed starting QB spot. I stared at the screen. He had written it down. He had actually written down the bribe in the notes section of his own spreadsheet. I kept digging. I found a draft folder in his email client. There was an unsent email addressed to Principal Carlisle, dated 2 days ago, the day after Logan was suspended. Subject Stadium Renovation Disciplinary Review. Dear Mr. Carlisle, I understand the school is currently reviewing the unfortunate misunderstanding involving Logan. I would like to remind you that Ross Logistics is prepared to sign the check for the new synthetic turf field next week. However, we can only support a school that supports its students. I trust you will find that Logan's actions do not warrant a suspension that would jeopardize his recruitment eligibility. Let's make sure everyone wins here. I felt a chill run down my spine. This was not just bad parenting. This was attempted bribery of a public school official. This was the reason Carlisle had looked so pained in his office. He was being squeezed. I took a screenshot of the draft. Then I went deeper. I found the college consultant invoices. $5,000 paid to a firm called Elite Essays last month. The invoice description read, Comprehensive Application Support, Personal Statement Generation for Logan Ross. My brother did not just cheat on his biology test. He bought his entire personality. I worked for 3 hours, my fingers flying across the trackpad. I was not a daughter anymore. I was a forensic accountant. I organized the files into folders: neglect, bribery, academic fraud. Around 1 a.m, I heard a creak in the hallway. I froze. I quickly 3 fingers swiped the screen, hiding the evidence behind a wall of AP European history notes. Logan appeared in the empty doorway. He looked terrible. His eyes were bloodshot, and he was wearing his team hoodie, the one he slept in when he was stressed. He leaned against the doorframe, looking into my room. He could see me sitting there, bathed in the blue light of the laptop. You are still awake, he whispered. I have a lot of work to catch up on, I said, keeping my voice flat. Since I am not going to school on Monday. He stepped inside. He did not yell. He did not threaten. He looked scared. Dad is really mad. Sid, he said, sitting on the edge of my bed. He says you are ruining everything. I know what he says, I replied, not looking away from my screen. Just apologize, Logan said. His voice cracked. Please, if I lose the scholarship, I have nothing. You know that. I am not smart like you. I cannot get into state on my grades. It was a rare moment of honesty. He was admitting that without the system rigged in his favor. He was hollow. I am thinking about it, I lied. I turned to look at him, keeping my face perfectly neutral. I am just trying to figure out what to say. He exhaled, a sound of relief. He bought it. He thought he had worn me down. He thought the prison was working. Just say you lied, he suggested, eager now. Say you were jealous. People will believe it, and then we can go back to normal. Go to sleep, Logan, I said gently. I will handle it. He nodded, stood up, and walked out. Good night, Sid. Good night. I watched him disappear into the dark hallway. I waited 2 full minutes to make sure he was gone. Then I swiped back to the secure window. I selected all the files I had gathered, the screenshots of the texts, the bribery spreadsheet, the draft email to the principal, the essay invoices. I right-clicked and selected Compress. The computer churned for a moment, creating a single, dense zip file. I renamed it House Ross Evidence Zip. I opened the encrypted email to Mr. Callahan. I dragged the file into the attachment box. The progress bar appeared. Uploading 20%, 50%, 80%. I looked at the empty door frame. My father had removed the door to watch me, to control me. But all he had done was remove the barrier to the sound of me destroying his empire. He thought he was dealing with a rebellious teenager. He did not realize he was dealing with a whistleblower who lived down the hall. Upload complete. I hit send. The email vanished into the secure server of a lawyer who specialized in tearing apart families like mine. I closed the laptop and sat in the dark, listening to the house settle. I thought about the spreadsheet with the bribe in the notes section. I thought about the sheer laziness of their corruption. A grim smile touched my lips. If they wanted a family secret, they really shouldn't have written it in spreadsheets. Sunday morning in the Ross household usually follows a strict liturgy. My father watches the sports highlights from the collegiate games, critiquing the coaching decisions of men who make $5 million a year. My mother reviews the weekly meal plan to ensure Logan is getting enough lean protein. And Logan sleeps until noon, resting his throwing arm. But this Sunday is different. The air is thick with a tension that tastes like iron. I am sitting on my bed, knees pulled up to my chest. My door is still missing, leaning against the hallway wall like a piece of discarded stage scenery. This means my mother does not need to knock. She just appears in the empty frame, holding a basket of laundry, looking at me with eyes that are equal parts exhausted and accusatory. "Have you written it yet?" she asks. She does not say, "Good morning." I look up from my book, a prop I'm holding, to look busy. "Written what?" "The apology," she says, stepping onto the carpet. "Your father is serious. Sydney, he is already on the phone with the district office. If you do not have a draft ready by tonight, you are not going back tomorrow. Do not test him." "I am not testing him," I say calmly. "I am just waiting for inspiration." She sighs, a sound of deep, performative suffering. "You are so stubborn. Just say the words. Sydney, family comes first. Why is that so hard for you to understand?" She walks out, her footsteps heavy with disappointment. She thinks she is the victim here. She thinks she is the peacemaker trying to bridge a gap between a strict father and a rebellious daughter. She has no idea she is actually the jailer. As soon as she turns the corner toward the laundry room, I reach under my pillow. My burner phone is vibrating. It is a short, rhythmic buzz that I've been waiting for since I opened my eyes. I pull it out, shielding the screen with my body, just in case my father decides to walk by the open doorframe. There is one new email. From Admissions Office, Northbridge Leadership Academy. Subject, Residential Civic Fellowship. Awarded, my breath catches in my throat. I tap the screen, my fingers cold. "Dear Ms. Ross, we are pleased to inform you that the Scholarship Committee has reviewed your application, your academic transcripts, and the supplemental materials provided by Mrs. Alvarez. It is our distinct honor to award you the full Residential Civic Fellowship for the upcoming spring term." I scroll down, scanning the numbers. They are staggering. Tuition covered 100%. Room and board covered 100%. Textbooks and technology fee waived. Travel stipend, $2,000 for immediate relocation. It is a golden ticket. It is a lifeline worth nearly $60,000 a year. Handed to me because I wrote an essay about refusing to lie for a cheater. But it is the paragraph at the bottom that makes my heart race. It is the legal language Mrs. Alvarez promised me. The weaponized fine print. Pursuant to State Education Code 44B, this scholarship includes a legal provision for self-consent in cases of educational obstruction. If a student is accepted into a residential program but is prevented from attending by custodial guardians who are simultaneously obstructing access to local public education, the student may sign their own transfer papers as a minor with educational standing. I read it twice. My parents played a game of chicken with my future. Assuming I had nowhere to go, they assumed that by suspending me from Oak Ridge, they were locking me in a box. Instead, they just handed me the crowbar to pry the lid off. By denying me school here, they legally authorized me to choose school somewhere else. I immediately forward the email to Mr. Callahan's secure address. 30 seconds later, the burner phone rings. I dive under my duvet, pulling the heavy blanket over my head to muffle the sound. "Hello?" I whisper. "I got it, Mr." Callahan's voice is crisp, professional, and tinged with the excitement of a lawyer who knows he's about to win. "This is perfect. Sydney, this is the smoking gun." "Is it enough?" I ask. "Can I just leave?" "Not yet," he cautions. "We have the scholarship. We have the evidence of the bribery and the fraud you sent last night. But to trigger the self-consent clause, we need to prove the obstruction part beyond a shadow of a doubt. We need to prove that your parents are not just grounding you, but that they are engaging in a quid pro quo, that they are denying you education specifically to force you to participate in a lie." "They told me that at dinner on Friday," I whisper. "Hearsay," Callahan says instantly. "If we go to a judge, your father will say he was just being a strict parent, that he was keeping you home for mental health reasons or reflection. He will deny he ever made your schooling conditional on a public apology. I feel a knot of anxiety tighten in my stomach. So what do? I need you to get him to say it again, Callahan says, and this time, I need you to record it. He took my phone, I say. He took my door. If he catches me recording him, you are in a one-party consent state for recording conversations where you are a participant, Callahan explains, shifting into legal mode. Use the burner, put it in your pocket, put it face down on the table. I do not care how you do it, but I need Victor Ross to explicitly state that you are barred from school until you lie for Logan. Can you do that? I think about my father. I think about his arrogance. He is a man who loves the sound of his own voice, especially when he is laying down the law. Yes, I say. I can do that. Good, Callahan says. Once I have that audio file, I will attach it to the petition. Mrs. Alvarez has already sent her affidavit confirming that you are the top student in the class and that the school administration is being pressured by your father's financial leverage. We are building a fortress here. Sydney. We hang up. I lie in the dark under the blanket for a moment, listening to the silence of the house. I am terrified, but beneath the fear, there is a cold, hard layer of resolve. I spend the afternoon acting the part of the broken daughter. I sit at my desk with my laptop, visibly working on a Word document titled Apology Draft, Doc X. I type meaningless sentences, then delete them. I let my mother walk by and see me with my head in my hands. I let Logan see me staring blankly at the wall. I need them to think I am on the verge of cracking. I need them to feel confident. Dinner is at 6:30. Sunday dinner is usually a casual affair, but tonight, my mother has set the table with the good china. It is psychological warfare. She is trying to remind me of the civilized life I am jeopardizing. We sit down, roast beef and mashed potatoes. The smell makes me nauseous, but I force myself to pick up my fork. My father sits at the head of the table, cutting his meat with surgical precision. He does not look at me. He is waiting for me to speak. He expects the apology to be delivered with the appetizers. I have the burner phone in the front pocket of my hoodie. The microphone is facing out. I hit the record button 5 minutes ago in the bathroom. The little red counter is ticking away in the darkness of my pocket. Pass the salt, please, Logan says. Breaking the silence, he looks relaxed. He thinks the storm has passed. He thinks his sister is tamed. I pass him the salt shaker. Then I put my hands on the table, clasping them together to stop them from shaking. Dad, I say softly. Victor stops chewing. He looks at me, his eyes cold and expectant. Yes, Sydney. I have been thinking about what you said, I begin, keeping my voice low, submissive. About the suspension, about not going to school tomorrow. And, he prompts, I cannot miss calculus, I say, injecting a note of desperation into my tone. We are reviewing for the midterm. If I miss a week, I will lose my ranking. That is not my concern, Victor says, taking a sip of wine. That is your concern. You created this situation. I know, I say. I know I did. But can we compromise? I see Logan's head snap up. He hates the word compromise. What kind of compromise? My mother asks. Hopeful. I will apologize to Logan, I say, looking directly at my brother. I will say, I am sorry for the parking lot. I will say, I am sorry for the video. I will do it right here, right now. Or I can write him a letter, but please do not make me do it in front of the whole school. Do not make me stand on that stage. It is the perfect bait. I am offering them 90% of what they want. I am offering submission, but I am asking to keep a shred of my dignity, and I know my father. He does not want 90%. He wants total victory. Victor puts down his fork. He wipes his mouth with his napkin. He leans forward, his face hardening into that CEO mask I hate so much. Sydney, he says, his voice booming slightly in the quiet dining room. You are missing the point. This is not just about Logan's feelings. This is about public perception. You damaged his reputation publicly. You will repair it publicly. But why does it have to be the auditorium? I press. Why can't I just go to school and keep my head down? Because you are a liability, he says. The words are crisp and clear. You are not going back to Oak Ridge or any other school until you fix the mess you made. You are suspended indefinitely. So if I don't go on stage, I clarify, leaning in slightly to ensure the microphone catches it, I don't go to school even if it means I fail the semester. Correct, my father says. No public apology, no school. Those are the terms. Do not ask me again. But that is illegal, I whisper, pushing him just one step further. You cannot stop me from getting an education. Victor laughs. It is a dry, humorless sound. I am your father. Sydney, I pay for the roof over your head. I decide when and where you go to school. And right now, I have decided you are going nowhere until you do exactly what I tell you to do for your brother. Got him. I look down at my plate. Okay, I say quietly. I understand. Good, Victor says, picking up his knife again. I expect the draft on my desk by 9 o'clock. I finish my dinner in silence. I eat every bite of the roast beef, fueling myself for the war to come. As soon as I am excused, I go upstairs. I walk past the empty door frame, into the corner of my room where the Wi-Fi signal is strongest. I pull out the phone. I stop the recording. I save the file as the Ultimatum MP3. I open the secure email app. I attach the audio file. I attach the signed PDF of the Educational Independence Petition. This document is a masterpiece of legal rebellion. In it, I have formally listed the grievances. Item 1, academic fraud committed by Logan Ross. Item 2, financial bribery of school officials by Victor Ross. Item 3, coercive control and educational obstruction targeting Sydney Ross. I type a short message to Mr. Callahan. He said it. It is all there. File the motion. I hit send. 10 minutes later, a reply comes through. Received. The recording is crystal clear. I am filing for an emergency remote hearing with the district court first thing in the morning. We are citing the sibling favoritism precedent from the Miller case of 2010. Get some sleep. Sydney, by tomorrow afternoon, you won't just be a student, you will be a plaintiff. I put the phone back in its hiding spot inside the biology textbook. I lie down on my bed, staring at the ceiling fan. Downstairs, I can hear the murmur of the television. My parents are probably congratulating themselves on holding the line. They think they broke me at dinner. They think my request for a compromise was the last gasp of my resistance. I replay my father's voice in my head. I decide when and where you go to school. He is wrong. He decided nothing. He just gave testimony against himself. I roll over and look at the empty closet where my suitcases are still hidden behind a row of long coats I never wear. I am not just leaving a house anymore. I am building a case, and when I walk out that door, I am not going to be a runaway daughter. I am going to be a legal precedent. The conference room at Oak Ridge Charter Institute is designed to make you feel small. It is a windowless chamber on the second floor of the administration wing, dominated by a long oval table made of polished cherry wood that probably cost more than the average teacher's annual salary. On the walls, portraits of past principals stare down with judgment, and in the corner, the American flag stands limp, as if it is too exhausted to wave for the hypocrisy about to take place. It is Monday morning at 9 o'clock. My parents believe I am currently locked in my bedroom, staring at a blank wall, contemplating the error of my ways. They believe the removal of my door and the confiscation of my phone have rendered me neutralized. They are currently sitting on one side of that cherry wood table, flanked by Logan, waiting to dictate terms to the school administration. I am not in my bedroom. I am standing in the hallway outside the double doors, adjusting the collar of my blazer. Next to me stands Mr. Drew Callahan. He is exactly what Mrs. Alvarez promised a man who wears a suit like a weapon. He is in his early 50s, with silver hair, wire-rimmed glasses, and the kind of leather briefcase that smells like expensive settlements. "Ready?" he asks. His voice is a low rumble, calm and assured. "Ready," I say. My heart is beating a frantic rhythm against my ribs, but my hands are steady. Callahan reaches out and pushes the doors open. The conversation inside cuts off instantly. It is a tableau of power dynamics. At the head of the table sits Principal Carlyle, looking like a man who has not slept in 3 days. To his right are 2 members of the school board and the district superintendent, Dr. Evans. On the left side sit the Rosses. My father, Victor, is leaning forward, his finger pointed at the table as if drilling a hole through it. My mother, Linda, is dabbing her eyes with a tissue, playing the role of the heartbroken matriarch. And Logan, my brother, the suspended student, is wearing his varsity Letterman jacket. The audacity of it hits me like a physical blow. He is currently banned from campus for academic fraud and assault. Yet he is wearing the school colors like armor, sitting there as if he owns the place. They all turn to look at us. For 3 seconds, there is absolute silence. The only sound is the hum of the air conditioning. "Sydney," my mother gasps, her hand flying to her mouth. My father's face goes from confusion to a shade of red that borders on violet. He stands up, his chair scraping violently against the floor. "What are you doing here?" he barks. "You are grounded. You are not allowed to leave the house." "Actually, Mr. Ross," Drew Callahan says, stepping smoothly into the room and placing his briefcase on the empty end of the table. "My client is here to attend the conduct meeting regarding her enrollment status." "Client," Logan snorts. He leans back in his chair, a smirk twisting his face. "You brought a lawyer now?" "Seriously, Sid, this is pathetic. Who is paying for this guy? Your allowance." "Sit down. Victor," Dr. Evans, the superintendent, says. Her voice is sharp. She is a woman who deals with budgets and lawsuits all day, and she is looking at Callahan with immediate recognition. She knows a shark when she sees one. "I will not sit down." My father fumes, but he does not move toward me. "This is a private family matter being discussed with the administration. This man has no business here." "I am Drew Callahan, representing Sydney Ross in the matter of her educational rights," Callahan says, opening his briefcase. He does not look at my father. He looks directly at the school board members. "And if you proceed with this meeting without her present, you will be violating district policy regarding student due process. So, I suggest we all sit down." The atmosphere in the room shifts. The air grows heavy and cold. Principal Carlyle gestures weakly to the empty chairs. "Please, have a seat." I sit. I do not look at my parents. I look at the legal pad in front of Dr. Evans. "Now," Callahan begins, remaining standing. He buttons his jacket. "My understanding is that this meeting was called to address the disruption caused by the recent allegations against Logan Ross and the subsequent absence of my client, Sydney Ross." "Sydney is absent because she is suspended," my father interrupts, his voice tight. "She is suspended from this family's good graces, and we have decided to pull her from Oak Ridge until she learns some respect. We have the right to withdraw our child." "That is an interesting choice of words," Callahan says. He pulls a document from his file. "You have the right to withdraw a child to homeschool them, or to transfer them. You do not have the right to use education as a hostage negotiation tool." He slides a piece of paper across the polished wood toward Dr. Evans. "This," Callahan announces, "is a formal acceptance letter from the Northbridge Leadership Academy, awarding Sydney Ross a full residential civic fellowship, effective immediately. It covers tuition, room, and board. It is a full scholarship." My mother blinks. "Northbridge. That is 3 states away. We never applied there." "Sydney applied," Callahan corrects, "and she was accepted based on her own merit." Principal Carlyle picks up the paper. He scans it, his eyebrows shooting up. "This is prestigious, extremely prestigious." "We do not consent," my father snaps. "She is a minor. She goes where we tell her to go, and right now, she is going nowhere." Callahan smiles. It is not a nice smile. It is the smile of a predator who has just watched the prey step into the trap. I am glad you said that, Mr. Ross, Callahan says. Because under State Education Code 44, Section B, a minor who has secured full independent funding for their education may petition for self-consent if their custodial guardians are engaged in educational obstruction or neglect. Neglect, my mother shrieks. The word echoes off the walls. We give her everything. She lives in $1 million home. She has a car. How dare you accuse us of neglect? Educational neglect, Callahan clarifies. Whatever you provide materially is irrelevant if you are actively preventing her from attending school. By your own admission, you have barred her from Oak Ridge, and now you are attempting to bar her from Northbridge. We are parenting, my father shouts. He slams his hand on the table. She caused a scene. She lied about her brother. We are disciplining her. Are you? Callahan asks. He pulls a small USB drive from his pocket. He holds it up to the light. Or are you silencing a whistleblower? Logan shifts in his seat. The smirk is gone. He looks at the USB drive, then at me. He sees the lack of fear in my eyes, and for the first time, he looks terrified. Mr. Carlisle, Callahan says, turning to the principal. If the school district supports these parents in preventing Sydney from attending classes either here or at Northbridge solely because she reported an academic crime committed by a star athlete, the district becomes a co-conspirator in a retaliation suit. You are looking at a federal Title IX violation. You are looking at a lawsuit that will bankrupt this athletic department. The room goes dead silent. Dr. Evans turns to Principal Carlisle. Her face is pale. Is this true? Evans asks. Did she report a crime? There was an incident, Carlisle stammers, sweating. We are investigating. We have the video, Callahan says. We have the chat logs. We have the invoices where Mr. Ross paid for Logan's college essays. My father freezes. He looks at Callahan, then at me. He realizes I raided the files. That is stolen property, Victor hisses. She hacked my computer. Whistleblower protection, Callahan counters smoothly. But let us focus on the immediate issue, the obstruction. A board member, a gray-haired man named Mr. Henderson, leans forward. He looks disturbed. Mr. Ross, I need to ask you a direct question. Is it true that you have barred your daughter from attending any school until she does what? Exactly. Until she apologizes, my father says, trying to regain his footing. Until she retracts her lies about Logan, it is a matter of integrity. So, Callahan says, no apology, no school. Exactly, my father says. It is a consequence. A consequence, Callahan repeats. He plugs the USB drive into the laptop connected to the room's speaker system. Let us hear how you phrase that consequence in the privacy of your own home. Shall we? He hits the spacebar. The audio is crystal clear. It booms through the conference room, amplifying my father's voice so there is no escaping it. No public apology, no school. Those are the terms. Do not ask me again. My voice on the recording asks, so if I don't go on stage, I don't go to school, even if it means I fail the semester, and then, my father's voice, arrogant and absolute. Correct. No public apology. No school. I decide when and where you go to school. And right now, I have decided you are going nowhere until you do exactly what I tell you to do for your brother. Callahan stops the recording. The silence that follows is heavy enough to crush a person. My mother is staring at the table, her face ashen. Logan is looking at the wall, refusing to make eye contact with anyone. But my father is staring at me. There is no love in his eyes. There is only the shock of a man who realizes the furniture has come to life and started hitting back. Dr. Evans stands up. She looks furious. She looks at my father with open disdain. Mr. Ross, she says, her voice cold and professional. This district will not be party to educational blackmail. You cannot make a student's attendance conditional on a coerced statement, specifically one designed to cover up a disciplinary infraction by another student. She turns to Principal Carlisle. Effective immediately, Sydney Ross is reinstated, her absence is excused, and any attempt to prevent her from entering this campus will be met with police intervention. My father opens his mouth to argue, but Callahan cuts him off. Furthermore, Callahan says, sliding the final document across the table, since the district has now acknowledged the obstruction, Sydney is exercising her right under the statute to self-consent to the Northbridge transfer. We do not need your signature. Mr. Ross, we just needed the district to confirm you were blocking her. My father looks at the papers. He looks at the board members, who are all nodding in agreement, desperate to distance themselves from him. He realizes he has lost the school. The entity he thought he owned because he bought the scoreboard has turned on him to save itself. Fine, Victor spits out. He stands up, adjusting his suit jacket with trembling hands. If she wants to go back to this school so bad, she can go. But she is finding her own ride, and do not expect a penny for college. She does not need your pennies, Callahan says. She has a full ride. Principal Carlisle looks at me. He looks relieved. He thinks he has solved the problem. He thinks the good student will just go back to class and the bad student will eventually be reinstated, and the status quo will return. Sydney, Carlisle says, offering a weak smile. We are happy to have you back. You can head to third period. I will write you a pass. I stand up. I smooth the front of my blazer. I look at the principal, then at the superintendent, and finally at my family. I think there is a misunderstanding, I say. My voice is clear, carrying to every corner of the room. I am not going to third period, I say. I am not coming back to Oak Ridge. Carlisle's smile falters. But we just reinstated you. I did not come here to get my spot back, I tell him. I came here to get it in writing. I pick up the copy of the meeting minutes where the secretary has been furiously typing. I point to the line where Dr. Evans acknowledged the obstruction. I needed the district to officially confirm that my parents were prioritizing Logan's football career over my education. I say, now that I have that, I can legally sign myself out. I turn to my father. He looks like he has been slapped. You wanted me out of Oak Ridge, Dad, I say. You got your wish. I am unenrolling, right now. You can't, my mother whispers. Sydney, you can't just leave. Where will you go? Northbridge, I answer. The car is coming tomorrow. I forbid it, my father shouts, but there is no power in it anymore. It is just noise. You lost the right to forbid anything when you made my education a bargaining chip, I say calmly. I turn to Logan. He is shrinking in his varsity jacket, looking like a child playing dress-up. Good luck with the investigation. Logan, I say, I hear Northbridge has a really good debate team. Maybe I will learn how to defend people who actually deserve it. Sydney, please, Carlisle says, standing up. You are our valedictorian. This reflects poorly on the district if you leave under these circumstances. It reflects reality, I say. And frankly, Principal Carlisle, after watching you let my brother bully a freshman and sell answers for 3 weeks, I think the reflection is accurate. I nod to Mr. Callahan. He closes his briefcase with a satisfying snap. We are done here, Callahan says. We walk out of the conference room. I do not look back. I hear my mother start to sob. I hear my father start to yell at the superintendent. I hear the sound of the Ross family dynasty crumbling under the weight of its own lies. We walk down the hallway, past the trophy case where Logan's picture sits front and center. I look at it one last time. The glass is smudged. The smile is fake. I push open the double doors to the outside world. The sun is shining. The air is fresh. It does not smell like floor wax or fear anymore. That went well, Callahan says, checking his watch. I will file the transfer papers by noon. The obstruction finding makes it automatic. Thank you, I say. Do not thank me yet, he warns. They are going to fight dirty now. They have nothing left to lose. Neither do I say, and for the first time in 17 years, I actually mean it. I have nothing to lose, because I have already packed everything that matters in 2 suitcases waiting by the door. The stadium lights at Oak Ridge High School do not just illuminate, they interrogate. They burn down on the synthetic turf with a chemical white glare that makes everything look hyper-real and slightly sickly. It is Friday night, senior night. The Booster Club has pulled out every stop to turn this game into a coronation for Logan Ross. They have printed 3,000 flyers with his face on them. They have draped banners over the bleachers that read, "Ross for the win and home of the Golden Arm." It is a desperate, expensive attempt to drown out the district investigation with sheer noise and school spirit. They think if they scream loud enough, the superintendent will be too afraid to touch their star. I am not sitting in the VIP box with my parents. I am sitting in the nosebleed section of the away stands, huddled into a wool coat, wearing a beanie pulled low. Next to me is Mrs. Alvarez. She holds a cup of hot cocoa, her expression grim. "You did not have to come, Sydney," she says, her voice barely audible over the marching band's rendition of Eye of the Tiger. "Mr. Callahan said I should," I reply, keeping my eyes on the 50-yard line. "He said it helps when the truth has a face. I want to be here when the applause stops." Down on the field, a podium has been set up. My father, Victor Ross, is walking toward the microphone. He is wearing a suit that cost more than Mrs. Alvarez makes in 3 months. He looks every inch the benevolent patriarch, the generous donor who just wants the best for the kids. The crowd hushes. The reverence is palpable. "Ladies and gentlemen," my father's voice booms through the stadium speakers, echoing off the metal stands. "Tonight is about more than football. It is about legacy. It is about character." I feel bile rise in my throat. "We raise our sons to be warriors," Victor continues, sweeping his hand toward the tunnel where the team is waiting. "But more importantly, we raise them to be men of integrity, men who do the right thing when no one is watching." A cheer goes up from the home crowd. They are eating it up. They love the narrative. They love the idea that their town hero is not just a quarterback, but a moral compass. Integrity, I whisper to myself, like bribing a principal, like terrified freshmen bleeding in a parking garage. "He is digging his own grave," Mrs. Alvarez murmurs. "Every word he says is going into the district's file." "And now," my father shouts, reaching the crescendo of his performance, "let us welcome the captain, the heart of Oak Ridge number 12, Logan Ross." The band strikes up the fight song. The cheerleaders begin a frantic, synchronized routine. Smoke machines pump gray clouds into the air at the mouth of the inflatable tunnel. The team bursts out. They are screaming, jumping, slamming helmets. And there, leading the charge, is Logan. He bursts through the paper banner, arms raised, soaking in the adoration. He looks invincible. He looks like he has already forgotten Monday morning's disaster in the conference room. But as he jogs toward the sideline, the choreography falls apart. 3 men in dark windbreakers step onto the field from the side gate. They are not coaches. They are not referees. They are wearing ID lanyards that catch the stadium light. They walk directly into the path of the team. The music falters. The crowd noise dips. A confused murmur rippling through the stands. "Is that the doping commission?" a guy in front of me asks his friend. "At a high school game," the friend replies. "No way." I watch through narrowed eyes. It is not just the doping commission. It is the district oversight committee. One of the men holds up a hand, stopping Logan in his tracks. Logan laughs at first, thinking it is a prank, maybe a surprise award ceremony, but the man does not smile. He says something short and sharp. Logan's helmet tilts down. His body language shifts from triumph to confusion. Suddenly, my phone vibrates. It is a text from Mr. Miller, the assistant offensive coordinator. He is the only coach who never took a dime from my father, and he has been terrified for weeks. Message: "Get to the athletic office, now. They found something in the file. We have to go." I tell Mrs. Alvarez. We slip down the back stairs of the bleachers, moving against the flow of latecomers. We navigate the underside of the stadium, dodging discarded popcorn boxes and puddles of soda. We reach the administrative hallway just as the double doors burst open. The 3 men in windbreakers are escorting Logan off the field. He is not in handcuffs, but the grip they have on his shoulder pads is firm. He looks wild-eyed, scanning the hallway, looking for Dad, looking for a savior. He sees me. "You!" he screams, his voice cracking. "What did you do?" "Inside," the lead agent orders, pushing him into the office. I follow them in. Mrs. Alvarez stays at the door as a witness. The athletic office is cramped, smelling of deep heat rub and old coffee. The agents shove Logan into a chair. On the desk, a laptop is open, connected to a video call. The face on the screen is a woman with severe glasses and a university banner behind her. It is the dean of admissions for the state university that offered Logan his scholarship. My parents are not here yet. They are likely scrambling down from the VIP box, fighting through the crowd. For these few minutes, Logan is alone. "Mr. Ross?" the woman on the screen says. Her voice is tinny but razor sharp. "We have received a flag on your application materials regarding the personal statement essay." Logan pants, sweat dripping down his forehead. "My essay, what about it? It was great. You guys said it was moving." "We said it was distinct," the dean corrects. However, the District Oversight Committee has just performed a metadata audit on the file submitted to our portal. One of the agents in the room picks up a piece of paper. The document properties list the author not as Logan Ross, but as Sydney Ross, created 4 years ago, last modified by Sydney Ross 2 weeks before your submission. I stand in the corner, silent. Logan freezes. He looks at the agent, then at the screen, then at me. "She wrote it for me," Logan blurts out. "It is my story. She just typed it up because she is a faster typer that is not a crime. Plagiarism is an academic crime, Mr. Ross," the dean says coldly. "But that is not the primary issue. The issue is the content." She looks down at a paper on her desk. The essay details a struggle with living in the shadow of a sibling's illness. It describes, in vivid detail, the emotional toll of caring for a sister with chronic leukemia. I stare at Logan. My mouth falls open slightly. He did not just steal an essay, he stole a fiction. He invented a tragedy. I do not have leukemia. I have never been sick a day in my life. You lied about me dying. I ask, my voice quiet but cutting through the room like a knife. To get into college. Logan's face goes purple. It is a metaphor. It is creative writing. Everyone lies on these things. We do not, the dean says. And we certainly do not look kindly on applicants who fabricate medical tragedies to garnish sympathy points. "This is a setup," Logan yells, standing up. "My sister is setting me up. She hates me. She hacked the file." "Did she?" I ask. I step forward. I reach into my bag and pull out the file I prepared. I slide a single piece of paper across the desk to the agent. This is an email Logan sent to his friend. "Kyle, 3 weeks ago," I say. The agent picks it up and reads it aloud. "Yo, check this out." Sydney writes like a robot, so I took her old creative writing project from sophomore year and just swapped the names. It is about some sick kid. College will eat it up. Easiest ride ever. The room goes silent. The dean on the screen looks disgusted. "That is sufficient," the dean says. "Effective immediately. The athletic scholarship offer to State University is rescinded. We will be notifying the NCAA Conduct Board regarding the academic fraud." "No," Logan screams. He lunges toward the laptop, but the agent blocks him. "You can't do this. My dad bought the turf. You owe me." "We owe you nothing," the agent says. Suddenly, the door bangs open. My father bursts in, followed by my mother. They are breathless, their faces flushed from running. "What is the meaning of this?" Victor roars. "Why is my son off the field? Why are there agents here?" "They took it, Dad," Logan cries, pointing at the screen. "They took the scholarship Sydney gave them, the emails." My father turns on me. His eyes are black holes of rage. "You little viper, You traitor. I told you. Mr. Ross, step back, the agent warns, stepping between us. She is lying. My mother sobs, grabbing Logan's arm. Whatever she gave you, it is fake. She is jealous. She has been trying to destroy him for days. It is not just the essay, Mrs. Ross, a new voice says from the doorway. We all turn. Standing there is Noah, the freshman boy from the parking lot. He looks small in the doorway, his face still showing the faint yellow bruise of a healing black eye. But he is not alone. Standing next to him is a tall man in a charcoal suit. It is Mr. Sterling, Noah's father, the most feared personal injury lawyer in the county. Noah, Logan whispers. The color drains from his face entirely. My client, Mr. Sterling says, his voice smooth and dangerous, is here to corroborate the report filed by Sidney Ross regarding the assault in the parking garage and the extortion ring involving the biology finals. Extortion, my father sputters. It was a misunderstanding over a textbook. We have the Venmo receipts. Victor, Mr. Sterling says, holding up a thick folder. 150 payments, all to Logan's account, all marked BioHelp, and we have the emergency room report from when your son slammed my son's head into a concrete pillar. My mother puts her hand over her mouth. She looks at Logan. She is waiting for him to deny it. She is waiting for the golden boy to laugh it off. But Logan just sinks into the chair. He covers his face with his hands. He is done. There is no spin doctor in the world who can fix this. This is a witch hunt, my father mutters. But he sounds defeated. He looks at the university dean on the screen, who has watched the whole thing. Mr. Ross, the dean says, your son is not a victim. He is a liability. The offer is withdrawn. Goodbye. The screen goes black. The silence in the office is broken only by the muffled roar of the crowd outside. They are still cheering. They are still waiting for number 12 to come back out and throw the winning touchdown. The lead agent picks up his radio. Notify the announcer box, he says. Review complete. Wait, my father pleads, grabbing the agent's arm. Please, just let him play the second half. We can sort this out on Monday. Do not humiliate him in front of the town. It is senior night. The agent looks at my father with pity. Sir, your son is under investigation for felony assault and grand larceny. He's not playing football tonight. He is lucky he is not leaving in a squad car. I look at my father. Integrity. Dad, remember what we do when no one is watching. He flinches as if I struck him. Through the thin walls, we hear the public address system crackle to life. The crowd goes quiet, expecting the play-by-play. Instead, the announcer's voice, confused and hesitant, booms over the stadium. Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? We have been informed by the District Oversight Committee that number 12 Logan Ross will not be returning to the game tonight due to a mandatory conduct review. The sound that follows is not a boo, it is a gasp, a collective 3,000-person intake of breath. Then, the murmurs start, the confusion, the realization. Inside the office, Logan puts his head on the desk and begins to sob. Not the cry of a man who is sorry, but the cry of a child who just realized the rules actually apply to him. My mother is hugging him, weeping. My father is staring at the blank screen of the laptop. I turn to Mrs. Alvarez and Mr. Sterling. I have seen enough, I say. I walk out of the office. I walk down the hallway, past the posters of Logan that are now just advertising a lie. I step out into the cool night air. The game has restarted, but the energy is dead. The team is scrambling, confused without their leader. The crowd is checking their phones, where the rumors are already spreading like wildfire. I walk toward the parking lot. I do not feel happy. I do not feel triumphant. I just feel light. The weight of the golden pedestal has finally crushed the people who built it, and for the first time in my life, I am not standing underneath it. The ride home from the stadium was a silent, suffocating journey. My father drove with a white-knuckled grip on the steering wheel, staring straight ahead as if he could run over the truth if he just pressed the accelerator hard enough. My mother sat in the passenger seat, sobbing quietly into a tissue that was already disintegrated. In the back seat, next to me, Logan stared out the window, his varsity jacket balled up in his lap like a dead animal. When we walked through the front door, the silence shattered. "Are you happy?" my father screamed. Spinning around before the door had even clicked shut, he threw his car keys onto the entry table with enough force to chip the wood. "Are you satisfied, Sydney? You just gutted your brother in front of 3,000 people. You just torched his future." I stood by the stairs, clutching my bag. "I did not make him cheat, Dad, and I did not make him assault a freshman." "You made it public," he roared, stepping into my personal space. His face was a map of broken veins and desperate rage. "We handle things in this family. We do not go to the police. We do not go to the district. We fix it. But you wanted to see him bleed." "I wanted him to stop bleeding on other people," I said, my voice steady despite the trembling in my knees. "Go to your room," my mother whispered, turning her tear-streaked face toward me. Her eyes were not sad. They were hateful. "Just go, before I say something I cannot take back." I went upstairs. I did not lock the door, there was no door to lock, but I sat in the corner where the Wi-Fi signal was strongest, listening to the destruction below. I heard glass breaking. I heard Logan shouting that it was not fair. I heard my father making frantic phone calls to lawyers who were not picking up on a Friday night. By Saturday morning, the war had moved from the living room to the internet. I woke up to a notification on my burner phone. It was a screenshot sent by a friend I had not spoken to in months. It was a Facebook post from my mother. Posted at 2 a.m, it was a photo of Logan as a toddler, holding a plastic football, looking angelic. The caption read, "Some kids forget that blood is thicker than trophies. It is a tragedy when jealousy tears a home apart. Please pray for our family as we deal with betrayal from within." It was a masterclass in manipulation. She did not name me, but she did not have to. The comments section was a firing squad. So sad when siblings cannot support each other. I heard his sister has always been weirdly competitive. "Stay strong. Linda. The truth will come out." They were painting a picture of an unstable, vindictive sister who fabricated a scandal to take down the town hero. They were controlling the narrative because they knew that if the actual facts, the bribery, the violence, the fraud came out, they would be pariahs. I felt a wave of nausea. I wanted to reply. I wanted to post the video of Logan laughing about selling the answer keys. But I held back. Mr. Callahan had told me to stay silent publicly. Let them dig. He had said, "We saved the ammunition for the courtroom." But my father was not content with a PR war. He wanted to scorch the earth I was standing on. Around noon, while I was pretending to read a book, my laptop pinged with an urgent email notification. It was from the Dean of Admissions at Northbridge Leadership Academy. My heart hammered against my ribs. Had they rescinded the offer? Had the scandal at Oak Ridge scared them off? I opened the email. Subject flagged communication. Security update. Dear Ms. Ross, we are writing to inform you that our office received a communication this morning from a Mr. Victor Ross. In this email, your father claimed that you are suffering from severe emotional instability, that you are a habitual liar, and that you do not have parental permission to leave the state. He requested that your scholarship offer be immediately revoked and your enrollment terminated. I stopped breathing. He was trying to kill my escape route. He was willing to label me mentally unstable just to keep me under his thumb. I read on. Please see the attached forward for your records. However, Northbridge Leadership Academy takes attempts at retaliation against whistleblowers very seriously. We are well aware of the legal context of your transfer. We have forwarded Mr. Ross's email to your legal counsel, Mr. Callahan, as it constitutes further evidence of the educational obstruction and hostile environment cited in your petition. Furthermore, the Board of Trustees has voted to upgrade your status to Special Protective Placement. If you require secure transport on Monday morning, we will send a private security detail to accompany the school van. I let out a breath that sounded like a sob. They believed me. They saw through him. My father thought he was dealing with the local high school principal he could bully with a checkbook. He did not realize he was poking a bear. I forwarded the email to Mr. Callahan with a single note. He is trying to trap me. Callahan's reply came 10 minutes later. It was a copy of a letter he had just fired off to my parents' lawyer and the Northbridge legal team. It was brutal. Attached to the letter was the House Ross Evidence zip file. Every ugliness I had collected was there. The video of Logan slamming Noah into the wall, the group chat logs, the audio recording of my father saying no apology, no school, and the spreadsheet showing the bribes. Callahan's cover letter was simple. Any further attempts to sabotage my client's academic future will result in immediate filing of a defamation suit and a request for a protective order. The evidence attached has been shared with the District Oversight Committee and the Northbridge Board. We suggest you advise your client to stop typing. That evening, the atmosphere in the house shifted from rage to terror. The mail had arrived. My father was in the kitchen, holding a thick envelope with the district school board logo. I was upstairs, but the open architecture of our house meant sound traveled. I heard the paper tearing. "What is it, Vic?" my mother asked. Her voice was thin, brittle. "It is an audit," my father said. His voice was unrecognizable. It lacked all the boom and bluster of the night before. It sounded hollow. "They are launching a forensic audit of the Booster Club finances. They are freezing the accounts pending an investigation into misappropriation of funds and improper influence." "Can they do that?" Mom asked. "Someone sent them the books," Dad whispered. "Someone sent them the internal spreadsheets. Linda, the ones I kept on the drive." I sat on the top step, hidden by the shadows. I knew exactly who had sent them. Mrs. Alvarez. She had taken the files I uploaded to the secure drive and walked them straight to the district auditor. "Sydney," my father hissed. "It had to be her." "She does not have access to your accounts," my mother said, but she sounded unsure. "She hacked me," Dad said. He slumped onto a kitchen stool. I could see the top of his head. He looked smaller. "If they trace those checks, if they see the payments to the principal's discretionary fund, this is fraud. Linda, this is federal." Logan walked into the kitchen then. He was wearing sweatpants and an old t-shirt. He looked at Dad, the man who had always fixed everything, the man who made speeding tickets disappear and grades change. "Dad," Logan asked, "you can fix this, right? You can call the mayor." My father looked up at his golden boy. For the first time, I saw him look at Logan not with pride, but with resentment. "I cannot call anyone. Logan, the mayor is not going to touch this. We are radioactive." Logan stepped back. "But what about me? What about next year, if I do not go to state?" "Shut up," my father snapped. "Just shut up about football for 1 second. I'm trying to stay out of prison." Logan flinched. The illusion shattered. The invincible father was gone, replaced by a terrified man in a designer kitchen waiting for the axe to fall. Sunday was a day of silence. The house felt like a mausoleum. I packed the last of my things. I triple-checked my documents. I kept my doorless room tidy, waiting for the final assault. It came at 7 in the evening. My mother appeared in my doorway. She was not angry anymore. She was not the vengeful woman from the Facebook post. She looked old. Her makeup was gone, and her eyes were red-rimmed. "Sydney," she said softly, "can you come downstairs? We need to talk." "I am busy," I said, not looking up from my laptop. "Please," she said. Her voice cracked. "Just for 5 minutes, as a family." I hesitated. Then I closed my laptop. I walked past her, down the stairs, and into the living room. My father was sitting in his armchair, staring at the unlit fireplace. Logan was on the sofa, picking at his cuticles. My mother sat next to him and patted the cushion. I sat on the separate armchair, across from them. "We want to offer a truce," my mother began. She clasped her hands together. "We know things were said. We know emotions were high. But Sydney, this has gone too far. The district investigation, the lawyers, it is going to destroy us. All of us. I did not start the investigation, I said calmly. The evidence did. We know you are angry, she continued, ignoring my point. And maybe we were too hard on you, but you have to understand, we were trying to protect your brother. That is what parents do. You protected him by sacrificing me, I said. We can fix it, she said, leaning forward. Her eyes were pleading, desperate. If you just talk to the district, tell them you were confused. Tell them the files were taken out of context. Tell them the bribery thing was just a donation that was misunderstood. If you retract the statement, the investigation loses its primary witness. It goes away. And then what? I asked. Then you can go back to Oak Ridge, she said, smiling through her tears, a frantic, hopeful smile. We will buy you a new car. We will get you that laptop you wanted. Logan will apologize to you privately. We can be a family again. We can put this whole ugly week behind us. My father looked up. He did not beg, but he watched me with intense focus. He was calculating the odds. He thought that deep down. I was still the daughter who wanted their approval. He thought he could buy my silence with a return to normalcy. I looked at Logan. He was watching me too. There was no remorse in his face, just fear for his own skin. He wanted me to make it go away so he could go back to being the star. I looked at my mother. She truly believed that peace was more important than truth. She wanted me to lie, to perjure myself, to cover up crimes, just so she could post happy photos on Facebook again. I felt a profound sadness wash over me. It was the death of the last tiny hope that they might actually love me for who I am, not for what I could do for them. I stood up. I cannot do that, Mom, I said. Why not? She cried. Why do you hate us so much? Why do you want to ruin this family? The question hung in the air. It was the accusation they had been hurling at me for days. You ruined it. You broke it. I looked her dead in the eyes. My voice was not loud. It was not angry. It was just final. I didn't ruin this family. Mom, I said. I just stopped covering for it. Sydney, wait, my father said, standing up, panic rising in his voice. No, I said. I am done waiting, and I am done lying. The investigation happens whether I am here or not. The papers do not lie. Dad, and neither do I. I turned my back on them. If you walk up those stairs, my father threatened, reverting to his last instinct, do not expect to have a home to come back to. I paused at the bottom of the staircase. I looked at the foyer, the expensive art, the perfectly polished floors. It was not a home. It was a showroom for a life that was completely hollow. I already have a new home, I said. The car comes at 8 o'clock tomorrow. I walked up the stairs, leaving them in the wreckage of their own making. I went into my room, lay down on my bed, and stared at the ceiling. I could hear my mother weeping below. A sound of pure despair, but for the first time, I did not feel the urge to go down and fix it. I just closed my eyes and waited for the sun to rise on the day I would finally be free. The dining room table is set for a funeral, or perhaps a coronation. It is impossible to tell the difference with my mother. She has brought out the Wedgwood china, the bone-white plates with the delicate blue rim that are usually reserved for Christmas or the night Logan wins the state championship. The crystal wine glasses catch the light from the chandelier, casting fractured rainbows onto the pristine tablecloth. There is a prime rib roast sitting in the center of the table, surrounded by roasted asparagus and potatoes, steaming gently. It is Sunday night, my last night in this house. Sit down, Sydney, my father says. He is not shouting. He is not the panicked man who was pacing the kitchen yesterday when the audit letter arrived. He is composed, wearing a fresh dress shirt, his hair slicked back. He looks like a CEO about to acquire a rival company for pennies on the dollar. I sit. Across from me, Logan is staring at his plate. He looks exhausted, his eyes underlined by dark circles, but he has combed his hair and put on a collared shirt. He is playing his part in the tableau. We wanted to have a nice dinner, my mother says, her voice trembling slightly as she pours gravy over the meat. A proper family dinner, to reset. We eat in silence for 10 minutes. The only sound is the clinking of silver against china. The meat is tender, expensive, and tastes like ash in my mouth. I know this is not a meal. It is a preamble. Finally, my father places his knife and fork down. He wipes his mouth with a linen napkin and folds it neatly. "Sydney," he begins, his voice smooth, reasonable. "Your mother and I have been doing a lot of thinking. We have consulted with our own legal team today." I keep eating. "I thought no one was picking up your calls on the weekend." "We found someone," he says, his eyes hardening just a fraction. "And we have realized that this situation has spiraled out of control. The district investigation, the scholarship revocation, the media rumors, it is bad for everyone. It is bad for Logan, obviously, but it is bad for you, too. Do you really want to be known as the girl who sued her own family?" "I am not suing you yet," I say, taking a sip of water. "I am just leaving." "That is the thing," Victor says. He reaches under the table and pulls out a thin leather folder. He slides it across the tablecloth toward me. It stops just inches from my water glass. "We have a proposal," he says. "A way to end this tonight. Clean slate." I look at the folder. "What is it?" "It is a joint statement," my father explains, "and a modified custody agreement." I flip it open. I scan the legal jargon. It is a masterpiece of fiction. The document states that the events of the past week were a gross misunderstanding caused by heightened adolescent emotions. It claims that Logan's academic infractions were minor errors in judgment common to teenagers, and that my reports to the district were exaggerated due to mental stress. But the kicker is the second page. It requires me to voluntarily decline the Northbridge scholarship and accept a transfer to a private day school in the next county, where I will live at home under supervised probationary status. "You want me to confess to being crazy," I say slowly, looking up at him, "and you want me to stay here." "We want to protect you," my mother interjects, leaning forward. "Sydney, that lawyer, Mr. Callahan, he is using you. He is filling your head with these radical ideas about emancipation. He sees a high-profile case, not a human being. We are your parents. We love you. If you sign this," my father says, his voice dropping to a low, threatening register. We drop the countersuit. We stop the investigation into the Booster Club by clarifying the funds were personal loans. We get Logan's record sealed. We go back to normal. "And if I don't?" I ask. My father leans back. He picks up his wine glass. "If you do not sign it, Sydney, you are not getting in that van tomorrow morning." "You cannot stop me," I say. "I have the obstruction finding." "We will file an emergency injunction for undue influence," Victor says calmly. "We will claim Callahan manipulated a vulnerable minor. We will tie this up in family court for 6 months. The Northbridge offer expires in 2 weeks. By the time the judge rules, your scholarship will be gone. You will be stuck here, in this house, with no school, no money, and no future." He smiles. It is the smile of a man who thinks he has found the checkmate. Or, you sign the paper, you apologize, we forgive you, and we move on. I look at Logan. He is watching me with a desperate, pathetic hope. "Just fix it, Sydney," he whispers. "Please, I will say sorry. I will buy you whatever you want. Just sign it so we can go back to normal." I look at him, and I realize that normal for Logan means a world where he stands on my shoulders to reach the cookie jar. He does not want a sister. He wants a stepping stool. "Normal," I repeat. I reach into the pocket of my blazer. I pull out my phone. "I found something interesting when I was backing up my files," I say. "Since we are sharing documents." I unlock the phone and place it in the center of the table. Screen facing up, I have the brightness turned to 100%. It is a screenshot of a text thread between Logan and his best friend, Kyle, dated 4 years ago. "We were freshmen. Kyle, dude, how did you pass that history project? You didn't even read the book. Logan Sid did it. She's been cleaning up my mess since I was 10. I just told her mom would be mad if I failed. She wrote the whole thing while I played Xbox. Kyle. Doesn't she get mad? Logan, nah. She is desperate for attention. I just pat her on the head and she rolls over. I even forged her signature on my permission slip for the away game. She won't notice. She is a robot. My mother reads the text. Her hand goes to her throat. You forged my signature, I ask Logan quietly. 4 years ago. It was just a field trip. Logan stammers, his face flushing red. It doesn't matter. It matters because it establishes a pattern. I say, you have been using me as your personal eraser your entire life, and you. I look at my parents. Have been handing him the rubber. That is enough, my father snaps. He reaches for the phone, but I pull it back. We are not discussing ancient history. We are discussing your future. Sign the paper, Sydney, or so help me God. I will call the police and tell them you are a runaway being coerced by a predatory attorney. I will have that van turned around before it hits the city limits. He is bluffing, but he is also desperate enough to try it. He thinks he holds the ultimate trump card parental authority. He thinks that because I am 17, I am property. I close the leather folder with the settlement offer. I slide it back across the table. I am not signing that, I say. Then you are not leaving, my father shouts, losing his cool. You are grounded. I will board up the windows if I have to. Actually, I say, reaching into my bag which I had placed by my feet. I have a document of my own. I pull out a single sheet of paper. It is crinkled slightly at the edges. Do you remember last Monday? Dad, I ask. You were in a rush. You were shouting at the contractor about the bathroom renovation. I handed you a stack of permission slips for school, the flu shot waiver, the field trip release, and this? I place the paper on the table. It is a document on Northbridge Leadership Academy letterhead. It is titled, Parental Acknowledgement of Scholarship Terms Independent Status. My father stares at it. He squints. What is this? He demands. It is a standard acknowledgement form, I explain, my voice deadly calm. It states that the parents have been notified of the scholarship offer, but here's the interesting part. Clause 4, paragraph 2. I point to the dense block of text in the middle. Failure to formally contest this placement in writing within 7 calendar days of signing constitutes irrevocable consent for the student to accept the scholarship and transfer guardianship for educational purposes to the academy. My father's eyes widen. He sees his own signature at the bottom, a sloppy, rushed scrawl of Victor Ross, dated exactly 7 days ago. You signed it, I say. You thought it was just another school form for Oak Ridge. You didn't even look at the header. You tricked me, he screams. He stands up so fast his chair tips over backward with a crash. This is fraud. You slipped it in the pile. I gave you a stack of papers to sign regarding my education, I correct him. You are the CEO of a logistics company. Dad, you always tell your employees to read before they sign. You just didn't think I was important enough to double-check. I tap the date. 7 days, I say. The objection period expires at midnight tonight. You have 2 hours. And since your lawyer is not picking up and the courthouse is closed, you are out of time. I will rip it up, he roars, reaching for the paper. This is a copy, I say, snatching it back. Mr. Callahan filed the original with the county clerk this morning. It is already in the system. You already agreed I could go. You just didn't bother reading the fine print. The room explodes. You are a traitor, my father bellows. His face is purple. He looks like he is about to have a stroke. You ungrateful little snake, I fed you, I clothed you, and this is how you repay me by tricking your own father. You tricked yourself, Victor, I yell back, standing up for the first time. The volume of my voice shocks them into a momentary silence. You were so busy looking at Logan, so busy polishing his trophies and covering his crimes, that you didn't even look at the paper in front of your face. Get out, he screams. If you leave tomorrow, do not come back. You are no daughter of mine. Victor, stop, my mother wails, grabbing his arm. No, he shakes her off. She chose her side. She wants to destroy this family. Fine, she is out. I did not choose to destroy the family, I say, my voice dropping back to that cold, hard resolve. You did. You chose a son over a daughter. You did it when I was 10. You did it last week. You did it tonight. I am just putting it in writing. Logan is crying now. Sid, please, don't go. It is too late. Logan, I say. My father advances on me. He looks dangerous. Give me that paper. Give me the phone. Just as he lunges across the corner of the table, a sound cuts through the tension like a knife. Ding dong. The doorbell. It rings long and loud, echoing through the foyer. We all freeze. It is 9:30 on a Sunday night. No one rings the doorbell at 9:30. Who is that? My mother whispers, terrified. My father stops. He breathes heavily, glaring at me. If you called the police. I didn't call them, I say. Northbridge did. I walk past him. He is too stunned to stop me. I walk into the foyer and open the front door. Standing on the porch, bathed in the yellow light, is Mrs. Klein, our next-door neighbor. She is 70 years old, wears a floral housecoat, and is the biggest gossip in the Tri-County area. But standing next to her is Officer Miller of the Oak Ridge Police Department. He is a large man with a stern face, his thumbs hooked into his duty belt. Good evening, Sydney, Officer Miller says. He looks past me, into the dining room where my parents are frozen like statues. We received a request for a welfare check and a civil standby from your attorney, Mr. Callahan. He wanted to ensure that the environment was safe for your departure tomorrow. Mrs. Klein, my mother gasps, coming to the door. What are you doing here? I am a witness, Linda, Mrs. Klein says, clutching her purse. The nice lawyer called me. He said there might be some shouting. He asked me to verify that Sydney is okay. Mrs. Klein looks at the overturned chair in the dining room. She looks at my father's red face. She looks at Logan crying at the table. She is going to have enough material for the bridge club for the next decade. I am fine, officer, I say, stepping out onto the porch. My parents and I were just finishing a discussion about my transfer paperwork. I turn back to look at my father. He is standing in the hallway. He looks defeated. He knows that he cannot scream. He cannot hit. And he cannot lock me in a room, not with a cop and Mrs. Klein watching. The private war he wanted to wage is gone. The curtains have been pulled back. We are all done here, I say to my father. Right, Dad. Victor Ross looks at the police officer. He looks at the parental acknowledgement document in my hand. He realizes that the trap he tried to set for me has snapped shut around his own ankle. Right, he rasps. We are done. Good, Officer Miller says. We will be parked across the street tonight, just to keep an eye on things. Have a good night, folks. I close the door. The silence in the hallway is absolute. My mother retreats to the kitchen, sobbing. Logan runs upstairs, slamming his door. My father stands there, a general without an army. I walk past him. I do not flinch. I do not apologize. I walk up the stairs to my room, listening to the sound of my own footsteps. They sound different tonight. They sound heavy, solid, and final. The House of Ross is no longer a fortress. It is just a building I'm leaving behind. Monday morning arrives with a clarity that hurts my eyes. The sky is a piercing, cloudless blue, the kind of weather that usually signals a perfect start to the week in Oak Ridge. But inside the Ross household, the atmosphere is gray and suffocating, thick with the debris of the night before. I am standing in the foyer. My 2 suitcases are next to me. They look small against the grand, sweeping staircase, but they contain my entire life. I am wearing my favorite blazer, the one I wore to every debate tournament I ever won. It feels like armor. Outside, the sound of a heavy engine idling cuts through the silence. I look through the side window. A black van with tinted windows has pulled up to the curb. It does not look like a school bus. It looks like a diplomatic transport. On the side door, in discreet silver lettering, are the words Northbridge Leadership Academy, Student Services, Mr. Drew Callahan steps out of the passenger seat. He looks immaculate in a navy suit, holding a clipboard. Beside him stands a woman I do not know, a student support liaison sent by the school to ensure the asset me is retrieved safely. Across the street, Mrs. Klein is already on her porch, watering dead geraniums, just to have an excuse to stare. Two other neighbors have stopped walking their dogs. In a town like this, a black van and a police cruiser are more interesting than the Super Bowl. I grip the handle of my silver suitcase. I am leaving now, I say. My father is standing in front of the heavy oak door. He is not dressed for work. He is wearing the same clothes he wore at dinner last night, rumpled and stained with sweat. He looks like a man who has been guarding a fortress that has already been sacked. "You are not allowed to leave this property," Victor says. His voice is a low growl, vibrating with exhaustion and menace. He spreads his arms, blocking the exit. "I am your father. I am revoking my consent. I am ordering you to go to your room." "Step aside, Victor," I say calmly. "No," he shouts, and the vein in his neck bulges. "You think because you have a lawyer you can just walk out on this family? You are 17. You are property of this house until I say otherwise." There is a knock on the door behind him. 3 sharp, authoritative raps. My father flinches. He looks at the wood as if it is burning. "Open it, Dad," I say, "or they will open it for you." He hesitates, his hands trembling. Then, with a snarl of frustration, he yanks the door open. Mr. Callahan stands there, flanked by Officer Miller. The police officer's thumbs are hooked into his belt, his expression bored but alert. "Good morning, Mr. Ross," Callahan says pleasantly. "We are here to collect Sydney for transport. Is there a problem?" "She is not going." My father spits, pointing a shaking finger at me. "I change my mind. I do not consent to this transfer. It is kidnapping." "Actually, sir," Officer Miller steps forward, his voice heavy with the weight of the law. "We have the court order filed electronically as of midnight, and we have the signed acknowledgement form you executed 7 days ago. Under the state obstruction statute, physically preventing Sydney from accessing her scholarship placement is a Class B misdemeanor. If you continue to block that doorway, I will have to place you in cuffs for obstruction of justice." My father freezes. He looks at the handcuffs on Miller's belt. He looks at the neighbors watching from the sidewalk. He realizes that the private kingdom where he ruled as a tyrant has been annexed by the real world. He steps back. He collapses against the wall, defeated, his face a mask of ash. I step forward, the wheels of my suitcase rolling smoothly over the marble floor. Click, clack, click, clack. My mother rushes out from the kitchen. She looks wrecked. Her eyes are swollen shut, her face blotchy. She throws herself at me, grabbing my free hand with a grip that is painfully tight. "Sydney, please," she wails. "Don't do this. You will regret this. He is still your brother. We are still your blood." I look down at her hands, the same hands that cooked Logan his protein meals while I made my own sandwiches, the same hands that typed that Facebook post calling me a traitor. "Blood is just biology. Mom," I say. "Family is behavior." "We can fix it," she sobs, clinging to my sleeve. "We will make it up to you. Don't leave us alone with this." That is the truth of it. She is not afraid of losing me. She is afraid of being left alone in the ruins of the reputation they destroyed. She is afraid of facing the audit and the neighbors without the perfect family mask to hide behind. I gently but firmly peel her fingers off my arm. "I am not fixing this for you," I say. "I am not the janitor anymore." I walk past her. At the bottom of the stairs, Logan is standing. He looks shocking. He is not wearing his varsity jacket. He is wearing an old gray t-shirt that is too big for him, without the armor of the football uniform, without the swagger of the golden boy. He looks incredibly young. He looks like a child who has lost his mother in a grocery store. He holds something in his hand. "Sid," he says. His voice is cracked, devoid of the arrogance that defined him for 16 years. I stop. He holds out his hand. In his palm sits a braided leather bracelet with a small silver charm shaped like a football. It is the team family bracelet the Booster Club gave to all the players' siblings last year. I never wore mine. I threw it in the trash the day he made me write his English paper. "Take it," Logan whispers. "Please. It reminds you of home." It is a clumsy, pathetic peace offering. It is him trying to buy back a relationship with a $10 piece of merchandise because he does not know how to offer an actual apology. He thinks a token can bridge the canyon he dug between us. I look at the bracelet. I remember the night he got it. He was laughing with his friends while I sat in the car waiting to drive him home because he was too drunk to drive. I reach out and close his fingers over the charm. I push his hand back toward his chest. "You keep it, Logan," I say softy. "It fits your story better than mine." He flinches. Tears well up in his eyes. "I didn't mean for it to get this bad," he says. "Yes, you did," I correct him. "You just didn't mean for it to happen to you." I turn away. I grip the handle of my suitcase and walk toward the open door where the sunlight is spilling in. Bright and blinding. Just as I reach the threshold, I hear footsteps behind me. Quick, shuffling steps. "Sid," Logan whispers. He's right behind me, leaning in so our parents cannot hear. "Dad told Coach Miller it was your idea," he hisses. "To sell the answer keys. He told him yesterday. He said you masterminded the operation to fund your debate trips and I was just the patsy." I stop. A cold chill runs down my spine. Even now, even at the bitter end, when the game is over and the scoreboard is dark, my father tried to throw one last interception. He tried to frame me to save the wreckage of Logan's reputation. He tried to rewrite history one last time. I turn my head slightly. I do not look at Logan. I look straight ahead at the waiting van. "Then he can explain to the forensic auditors why 100% of the money ended up in your bank account," I whisper back. Math is the one thing he cannot spin. Logan recoils as if I slapped him. He knows I am right. He knows the paper trail is a noose they tied themselves. I step out onto the porch. Mr. Callahan is waiting. He holds a thick, cream-colored envelope in his hand. He looks at my parents, who are huddled in the hallway like survivors of a shipwreck. "Mr. and Mrs. Ross," Callahan says. His voice is professional, detached, and utterly lethal. "This is for you." He hands the envelope to my father. Victor takes it with a shaking hand. "What is this?" my father croaks. "Official notice," Callahan says. "The district attorney has accepted the evidence file regarding the Booster Club misappropriations. And the parents of the freshman student, Noah Sterling, have filed a civil suit for damages this morning. We are listed as cooperating witnesses." My father drops the envelope. It hits the floor with a soft slap. "You are destroying us," my mother screams, her voice rising to a shriek. "You are killing this family. The patient was dead when we got here. Mrs. Ross," Callahan says. "We are just signing the death certificate." He turns to me. He nods toward the van. "Ready, Sydney." "Ready," I say. I walk down the steps. The sun hits my face, warm and real. It burns away the cold air of the house. I can hear the birds singing. I can hear the wind in the trees. The driver takes my suitcases. He loads them into the back with a solid thump. I climb into the back seat of the van. The leather is cool and smells like new car and freedom. The student support liaison smiles at me. It is a genuine smile, not the shark-like grin of people in Oak Ridge who want something. "Welcome to Northbridge, Sydney," she says. "It is a 3-hour drive. You can sleep if you want." "I am not tired," I say. "I am wide awake." I hear a sound from the porch. My mother is screaming my name. "Sydney, Sydney, come back." I hear the heavy slam of the front door. I hear a dull thud, like a fist hitting drywall. Logan taking out his frustration on the only thing left that cannot fight back. The van door slides shut. Thunk. The sound cuts off the screaming. It cuts off the crying. It cuts off the manipulation. It seals me inside a capsule of silence and safety. The engine rumbles to life. We pull away from the curb. I do not turn around. I do not look out the back window to see if they are watching. I do not want to see the house shrinking in the distance. I know what it looks like. It looks like a prison I just broke out of. Instead, I look at the wheel of the van as we turn the corner. I count the rotations. 1, 2, 3. Each rotation is a severed tie. Each turn of the tire is a mile of distance between who I was told to be and who I actually am. We pass the manicured lawns of the neighbors. We pass the high school stadium, where the banner with Logan's face is probably being torn down right now by a janitor who knows the truth. We hit the main road. The van accelerates. I pull out my phone, my real phone, which Callahan retrieved from my father's office this morning. I open my messages. I find the thread with Mrs. Alvarez. I type one sentence. They suspended my schooling to protect their golden boy. I just enrolled it somewhere they don't control. I hit send. Then I turn off the phone. I slip it into my pocket. We pass the town limits. A large green sign flashes by the window. Welcome to Oak Ridge, home of champions. I stare at it until it disappears. Then I look forward. Through the windshield, the highway stretches out like a ribbon of gray silk. In the distance, the hills are green, and beyond them, I know there is a campus with a library, a debate podium, and a dorm room with a door that locks. I am not sure what happens next. I am not sure how to be a girl who is not defined by her brother's shadow. I am not sure how to build a life without a blueprint handed down by a tyrant. But as the van hits 60 miles an hour, speeding toward a horizon that finally belongs to me, I realize I have plenty of time to figure it out. I lean back in the seat and close my eyes, listening to the hum of the tires on the asphalt. It is the most beautiful sound I have ever heard. Thank you so much for listening to my story. It was a long journey out of that house, but I'm glad you stuck with me until the final mile. I would love to know where you are listening from. Are you in a dorm room, a car, or maybe taking a break from your own battles? Let me know in the comments below so we can share our thoughts. And if you enjoyed seeing the golden boy topple, please subscribe to Maya Revenge Stories. Hit that like button and smash the hype button so this story can reach even more people who need to know that sometimes the best revenge is just walking away and never looking back.